She said it first. Nobody wants you here. And everyone laughed. A party full of relatives with the same smirk pasted on their faces, pretending it was a joke. My granddaughter had just spilled grape juice on my blouse, and the red stain spread across my chest like an open wound. They laughed louder. I smiled. Then I left. That night I washed the blouse until my hands turned raw. The stain didn't come out. Neither did the words. By morning, none of them would be laughing. The beginning. I remember when my daughter, Clara, first brought him home. Mark. Soft-spoken, polite, a smile too quick, like a salesman's. He took my hand and called me Mom. No one had ever done that before. My husband died early. Clara grew up watching me work 3 jobs. Mark said he admired that, said I reminded him of strength. He moved into Clara's home before the wedding, promised he'd take care of her, of all of us. I believed him. I helped pay for their down payment, watched them build a life on the foundation of my trust. Years later, that trust cracked, quietly at first, then all at once. The betrayal. It started with little things. He stopped visiting, stopped calling. When I came by, he'd check his watch. He didn't even hide it. The distance grew like mold in a damp corner. Then Clara stopped talking too. When I asked if something was wrong, she said, "Mark thinks you meddle too much. He says you make everyone uncomfortable." Uncomfortable. That word sank into me like a knife. I noticed changes. The new car Mark drove. The whispers when I entered the room. My name slipping out of conversations just as I walked in. I wasn't supposed to hear, but I did. Then the accounts started closing. The joint savings I'd kept for Clara for emergencies vanished. The lawyer said my signature was on the withdrawal form. It wasn't. I didn't argue, didn't cry. I simply watched. When you've been underestimated your entire life, you learn that silence is your sharpest blade. The shift. Revenge didn't come instantly. It brewed, like coffee left on the stove too long, bitter and dark. Mark worked in property development, a smooth talker with a shaky foundation. I'd seen the documents he left on the counter once. Small print, inflated numbers, the kind that hides fraud if you know where to look. I used to be an accountant. He forgot that part. So I started gathering, not gossip, proof. Old tax returns, contracts, bank transfers, everything. Clara had access to his laptop. She didn't know what she was showing me when she asked for help organizing receipts. But I knew. Then came the party, the one where I was told, "Nobody wants you here." That was the moment I decided when to act. The plan. The morning after, I called in a few favors. One from my old coworker, now a financial investigator. Another from my lawyer, the same man who handled my late husband's estate. I gave them what they needed, the documents, the transfers, the hidden accounts in Mark's brother's name. They found enough to sink a company, maybe a marriage too. I waited 2 weeks, smiled at family dinners, brought my granddaughter gifts. Mark looked at me like he'd already won, like I was a worn-out relic clinging to relevance. He didn't notice the walls closing in. Then, one Monday morning, the story broke. Local developer under investigation for fraud and embezzlement. His face on the news. His company frozen. Accounts seized. Clara called me crying. "They're saying awful things about him, Mom." I didn't respond right away. I just said, "Come over." She did. Mark didn't. He was too busy trying to clean up what couldn't be cleaned. The confrontation. He showed up 3 days later, unannounced, stormed into my kitchen like he still owned something here. "You did this," he said, voice shaking. "You think I don't know?" I didn't look up from the tea I was stirring. "If you knew," I said calmly, "you'd already be gone." He slammed his hand on the table. "You ruined me!" I looked him in the eye, really looked, and for the first time he saw it. The quiet rage, the intelligence he had mistaken for weakness. "You ruined yourself," I said. "I just turned on the lights." He left without another word. The door rattled behind him like an exclamation mark. The payoff. A week later, Clara came again, this time alone. She'd found out everything. The fake loans, the hidden assets, the forged signature on my account. She sat at my kitchen table and cried. "I thought he loved us," she said. "He loved himself," I told her. "You just stood in the reflection." The silence between us wasn't bitter anymore. It was heavy but clean, like the air after a storm. Then the call came. Mark had been arrested. The same day, the same hour, the same minute, I folded that ruined blouse and placed it at the bottom of my drawer, the one with the red stain that never washed out. The reflection. I did it.